Good morning and welcome. This is Pastor Lucy Painter with your daily insight, and today we come to the conclusion of the topic laughter. This is laughter day 5. I was trying to see how we are going to conclude this topic because it is so wide. We cannot cover all the themes of laughter in the Bible. But knowing that we are entering into the season of Christmas, into a merry season, I just want to conclude by sharing how we can laugh more often. Studies have shown that babies and children laugh hundreds of times a day. Adults, on the other hand, often barely make it to double digits a day. And even joyful people can feel weighed down by the pressures and the heartaches of life. Add that to what we are dealing with in our day-to-day life and in the current 2020. But Jesus said in Matthew 18 verse 4, "Whoever humbles himself like a child is the greatest in the kingdom of heaven." So if there is one thing we ought to emulate, is the joy that children have, the way they are carefree and the way they laugh, they are bubbly. They don't worry. they just happy. Right now you're worried about what you're gonna do with your kids for Christmas. They are so expectant, they are so excited. They keep watching whether there is gonna be gifts under the tree. They don't care. That's the kids. So I think maybe it's time for us now as adults to turn our troubles over to God and become more like a child, full of joy and laughter. And today we are going to share 5 things the Bible says about laughing, along with the 5 things that can bring out our inner child in this season that we are entering, the Christmas season. And number 1 I want us to talk about is take time to laugh. Take time to laugh. The Bible says in the book of Ecclesiastes 3:1, "For everything there is a season and a time for every matter under the heaven. There is a time to weep and a time to laugh, a time to mourn and a time to dance." And if you've been on this planet for more than a few years, you know life isn't a one big laugh. It's filled with difficult trials. But even so, the Bible says there is a time to laugh. So some ways to incorporate more laughter into your life is take time. Consciously make time to laugh. Talk to a friend with a good sense of humor. Remember what I told you on Monday, that I have a sister, my blood sister, Rose. She can make me laugh. So talk to a friend who has a good sense of humor. Retell a funny story from the past, or play a practical joke on a good friend or family member. Find an idea that will make you laugh, but make sure that you are taking time to laugh. And also spend time around children, pets. That is typically a surefire way to ramp up the laughter. Make sure that you're spending time and setting time apart to laugh. And number 2, I'm giving you tips that will make you laugh. Number 2, share joy. The Bible says in Proverbs 17:22, which has been our theme text the whole of this week, "A joyful heart is good medicine, but a crushed spirit dries up the bone." So number 2, don't keep joy to yourself. Share the good medicine of a joyful heart with others. Share the good medicine of a joyful heart with others. Have you brought joy or laughter to someone today? If not, think of a way you can make one person laugh. It brings joy to both of your hearts. So don't just keep it to yourself. Share that joy. And then we see number 3, you can lighten your load. Lighten your load. Don't carry all those burdens on you. Lighten your load. The Bible says in Luke 6 verse 21, "Blessed are you who weep now, for you shall laugh." Have you ever been so sad that you thought you'd never laugh again? Have you ever been that sad? You're so overwhelmed with grief, you're so overwhelmed with sadness that you think that you can never laugh. You see people laughing and you're like, why are they laughing? Yet I'm so overwhelmed with sadness. So if you are a follower of Christ, you are blessed to be part of God's kingdom. And the God of the universe can bring you comfort and inner peace even as you struggle with a heavy heart. So being blessed is about experiencing the hope and the joy regardless of the circumstance. And so King David once wrote about it this way in Psalms 30 verse 11. You have turned for me my mourning into dancing. You have loosed my sackcloth and girded me with gladness. So feeling burdened today doesn't mean that you're not going to laugh tomorrow. Lighten up your load. Cry today if you feel like crying today, if you're feeling sad today, but don't make it a permanent living situation. Yeah, the God that you have has given us hope that today you may be weeping, but tomorrow that mourning will be turned into dancing. And mourning may endure for a night, but joy comes in the morning. So lighten up your load. You are blessed. If you're weeping, you are blessed because you shall laugh. There is hope for laughter. Lighten up the load. Don't make that heaviness, that sadness to be forever. You're not entitled to remain in that grief, in that pain forever. Lighten up your load. And then number 4, savor surprises. And don't be afraid to laugh at yourself. Sometimes people are afraid to laugh at themselves. Remember the story, the laughter of Sarah. And today let's see it in another way. When God said to Sarah, when God said to Sarah she will have a son, she laughed. Remember the first time she laughed in the tent. She laughed. And then later on, when she got a child in Genesis 21 verse 6 to 7, she said, and Sarah said, God has made laughter for me. Everyone will laugh over me. And she said, who would have said to Abraham that Sarah would nurse children? Yet I have borne him a son in his old age. Abraham's wife Sarah waited 90 years to become a mother, and thinking there was no way she could provide a family here herself, she was downright dumbfounded. When she was told she would have a son, she had to laugh out of pure joy. Think of a time when you were pleasantly surprised by God's timing. Those surprises, savor them. Don't be afraid. Laugh at yourself. It's okay to laugh at yourself. That is also it also counts for laughter. And then number 5 today, expect great things. Expect great things. The Bible says in Psalms 126 verse 2, this one is one of those powerful verses on laughter. The Bible says, then our mouth was filled with laughter and our tongue with shouts of joy. They said among the nation, the Lord has done great things for them. This is when the Lord led his people out of captivity and brought them back to their homeland. They were so relieved and thankful that they laughed and shouted for joy. After spending 70 years as captives, one of the first things they did was build an altar and worship God. It can be easy to dwell on things that aren't going your way, but remember the verse above. God does do great things. Keep an eye out in this Christmas season. Keep an eye out for the great things he is doing in your life. Then take a moment to thank him for it. Take a moment to experience the laughter, to experience the joy. Take a moment to laugh. Look around, search, and let your mouth be filled with laughter. Let your tongue be filled with shouts of joy because of what the Lord has done. Look back and see the Lord has done great things. I assure you, when you do this, Let the inner child be revived in you, and let us at least hit those double digits a day of laughter, and make it a conscious effort. Think about it. I know there's so much going around. There's so much pressure. There's so much expectations in the air. There's so much uncertainty because we don't know what is going to happen next. But make a conscious effort to take time to laugh in the name of the Lord. I want to take this time to wish you a Merry Christmas, because from now on I'm going to take a 2 weeks break. We're going to resume the podcast next year, 2021. But in the meantime, in my absence for the next 2 weeks, if you missed the first episodes when we started the podcast, please, every week I will be sending out, every day I will be sending out those episodes for you to go through them as we wait for January when we resume the podcast. Again, this is Pastor Lucy Painter with your daily insight. Shalom, shalom. Take time to laugh. Make sure you hit the double digits every day of laughter. Shalom.